beanbags at the light, rubber bullets. That's actually unique. So these chumps decide not to have their meeting tonight. They did? Yeah, they used to have a meeting.
You know what? We could keep that from happening every... Hey, you know what? They didn't do it. So we could keep that from happening every night if we keep coming back here. We should have a crew out here all the damn time. Think about that for 5 minutes, right?
They canceled it the time before.
Yeah, exactly. They keep on canceling it every time we come out here. So we should just keep sending people out here, and then we'll get rid of that problem.
Hey, Michelle, so tell us where we're at and who you are.
So my name is Michelle Gross, and I'm president of Communities United Against Police Brutality. We are out here at the corner of 41st Avenue North and DuPont Avenue North. This is the building behind me is the headquarters for Operation Safety Net, or really you could say Operation No Safety Net, because this is a very harmful agency that has been terrorizing the community in Brooklyn Center with their attacks on activists, attacks on journalists, tear gas, noxious chemicals, projectiles, all type of things like that. So we came out tonight to have a press conference. All of our coalition organizations came out together and had a nice press conference to say that we demand that Governor Walz shut this operation down now. These people have been violating our civil rights. It's not acceptable. People that are unarmed, that are out just to exercise their free speech, and they are getting brutalized. Our journalists are getting brutalized, such as yourself. This is unacceptable to us. So we were out here talking about this. And part of what they've been doing in order to engineer what they've done to the community is that they've been calling these random curfews at all different random times. Last night they called a curfew at 11 that they didn't even announce until 11:16. And when they did that, then once they call a curfew, they declare an unlawful assembly, and that gives them an excuse to scoop up large numbers of people, put them in the jail, and hang on to them. You know, that cop, Kim Potter, that murder cop, she spent not even 5 hours at the jail. And our people have been sitting in jail for days and days and days. And this is utterly unacceptable. And this is just a terror organization. So that's why we came out here to talk about it tonight, educate the media, educate the public, to let people know where this place is located and the stuff that they've been up to. Because Governor Walz and all the elected officials have unleashed these people on us, and that's unacceptable. So we're out here letting it be known that this operation needs to be shut down immediately. Yeah, go ahead.
Can you talk about some of the charges that people are facing?
Many of the people are facing curfew violations, and curfew violations are only a petty misdemeanor at most. And under state law, people that are facing those kinds of charges, they're supposed to be given a ticket and released. And these people sat in the jail for hours and hours and hours. I mean, I should say days, actually, 3 to 4 days. Some of these folks, and that's outlandish. The rest are facing. Again, misdemeanor riot charges. There are a few people with a little bit more serious charges, but almost everybody has minor charges, but yet they were held by the city attorney of Brooklyn Center, which is actually a private law firm. And what we're asking people to do is we're asking people to call that law firm. We're asking people to call John Harrington and Governor Tim Walz and tell them to shut down this Operation Safety Net and to release all of the people that have been that are being charged under the disgusting conduct of this outfit, so that we can get people to get them to drop all these charges. We've had over 200 people arrested in just the last few days, and when you put that number of people on top of the people that have been arrested all summer long for protesting the murder of George Floyd, our lawyers are literally having to defend, our movement lawyers, over 1,000 people. And this is getting ridiculous. And every one of these people did nothing wrong. And yet a murderous cop, is free to go home and hang out at her home in Champlin and have guards around her house and all type of things. But our people sit in jail 3-4 days, which is, it's really outlandish. It's really unacceptable. And, one other thing I wanted to just mention, Nico, is this. With these curfews that they keep putting in place, 2.6 million people are affected by these curfews. So we got one murderous cop, but 2.6 million people are put in timeout because of her conduct. And this is really, again, outrageous to me, and that's why we've been out here doing this press conference. And we had a very nice turnout tonight, a wonderful group of people that came out. And this is some of the same people we've all been running the streets for days and days on end. So it's not small. This is a very intense time period. And at the same time, we're also trying to get a lot of bills passed at the legislature because they haven't done a damn thing to make sure we don't have another George Floyd or another Daunte Wright or any other, or Dalal Eid or any of these other cases. They haven't done one damn thing in our legislature or at our city administration level to do anything to prevent these murders from happening in the future. So we're out. That's why we're out here running our legs off in the night and working on bills and stuff in the day and trying to make sure that we get some changes so that we don't keep having these things happen. So that's what's going on.
Anything else you want to say with Operation Safety Net or anything else?
Well, like I said, we'll have over 200 people that have been arrested. We have dozens that have been sent to the hospital with injuries. These cops are all over here, we're scared. They're the ones with the guns. They're the ones with the armaments. They're the ones with their Ninja Turtle suits on. We're over here unarmed, just with the only arm being our voices, and they're trying to silence us, and that is disgusting. It's a messed up mess. So with that, I want to really give this over to Jonathan McClellan, who's been doing a lot of our legislative work, and he also knows a whole lot of about the way this conduct has been going on.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
Howdy.
Yeah, talk about anything new developing.
Yep. My name is Jonathan McClellan. I'm the president of the Minnesota Justice Coalition, the MJC.org, and one of the newest things that have happened is that we have a development in the letter that we sent out on March 29th, asking for an intervention from the FBI in conducting patterns and practices investigations of the police departments around the state of Minnesota. They did write back. They indicated that the letter has been circulated to the right people and that they were looking into possibly restarting the investigations here of the police departments in the state of Minnesota.
What would that mean for the police departments here?
It means that they're going to have a microscope up their rear. They're gonna go over and reevaluate the policies. They're going to look at where the breakdowns are, where there's problems, where there's civil rights violations, and if there are, then they would sit over here and take action. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for the police departments to be under a microscope. Yep. So the patterns and practices investigations were halted under the previous administration, and during the campaign and the election of Joe Biden, he's campaigned on that he was different than Donald Trump. So we've been pressuring this current administration to institute those patterns and practices investigations around the state of Minnesota that were halted under the previous administration.
We talked to you graciously. Thank you for sharing your time. We talked to you during the $27 million settlement. Right after that, and we asked you basically what was the disconnect between the Democrats and Republicans within whatever elected officials it was between holding the police accountable. And you brought up police unions and associations, and it comes to be that Kim Potter was also involved as a police union association head in Brooklyn Center. Can you talk about maybe that again, where the power lies to police accountability?
Right. Well, I think currently, in light of the events that happened last Friday, the Minnesota Senate, on a party line vote, voted down a measure to remove white supremacy from the police departments, and that's what happened. There was a vote that came up that said that if an officer was affiliated with a white supremacy group, that they could be terminated, and that measure was struck down on a party line vote by the GOP. So this is the affairs that we're here that are going on here in the state of Minnesota, in the Minnesota legislature, in the Senate. And this is why we need change over there. We have remnants of the 50s, 40s, 60s ever present over there, and it's time for change. And and we ask ourselves, why are we where we're at now? Well, there goes one of the reasons why we're at where we are now.
What's the way forward with that?
the way forward is that we have to push our bills. We have to push our legislative agenda to bring accountability, transparency, and justice. And we put together a list of bills, a conglomerate of bills to help along with that process. But the number one opposition to the bills over there is Warren Limmer, the chair of the Judiciary Committee, and it's time for him to go. He's been holding back progress for the state of Minnesota for many years. Matter of fact, he's been doing it so much that his committee is known as the committee where bills go to die. So, and if we're trying to move Minnesota forward, we need to have access to these committees so we can get our legislation heard. And another piece is, as far as the Paul Gazelka, we had a bill, the statute of limitations on wrongful death, and we met with Paul Gazelka a few times on this legislative measure. And when we asked him to support it, he wrote back to us indicating that as part of that measure, there was a provision in there that said that remove statute of limitations for sexual assault. And the one part that they had problems with of that bill was the sexual assault piece. So in essence, your Republican legislatures believe that cops should be able to sexually assault their victims or their people who they arrest, and that's wrong.
So we're here in front of the Operation Safety Net headquarters.
Yes.
And can you talk about just what that is? And what I've seen recently is them sort of escape culpability of accountability when it comes to their actions against the press and their actions against the protesters, where, oh, it's unified command, it's not our command, it's not this person, or not Brooklyn Center, it's not Hennepin County, it's unified. Can you talk about what Operation Safety Net is and just sort of where does the culpability come?
Right. Operation Safety Net was started after to respond to uprisings in the trial of George Floyd. Given the events that occurred in Brooklyn Center with the horrific murder of Daunte Wright, they decided to implement that plan over in Brooklyn Center, and that plan has been a complete failure from day one. And they have brutalized and beat. We were over there on the first day of the protest. We've been there every day, but on the first day, I remember very clearly the police officers cussing at people. I remember you getting hit by a flashbang, and all you were doing was doing your job, reporting. I remember cops pointing AR-15s in kids' faces. Shooting flashbangs at apartment complexes, tear gas, rubber bullets, and they didn't care who or where they shot. They were just firing them indiscriminately at people who were running. They told people to go across the street. People went across the street, and then they started shooting people across the street and throwing flashbangs over there. And that's not right. So we demand justice. We demand the individuals who were peacefully protesting, who are still in jail. I mean, it's funny that they're still in jail, but then you have the officer who killed Daunte Wright that was able to be out within 5 hours, and she murdered a man, and that's not right. That's just not right. So. But that's how they treat our communities, and that's why we need to continue doing what we're doing. We need to continue exercising our rights, our First Amendment rights, to redress our grievances by using our speech.
Anything else you want to say?
Any other questions?
Yeah, let's ask you one, and then Mel, you ready in a second? We'll ask you another question, and then how can people find more information about what you're doing, and also if they have ideas for bills or if they have ideas for legislative change, what is a route that they could go about?
I would tell them to go to themjc.org. Again, that's www.themjc.org. That's our website, and they can go to the Contact Us page, and they can submit their requests for legislations. We will review the legislative initiatives. Legislation it's a process that you have to go through to get the bills drafted, and if it's something that makes sense that we could back up with facts and a fact-based research, we will sit over here and we will write the bill, and we will do what we have to do. We'll add it to our list of bills. we're putting together our list of bills for our next barrage. We have about 10 bills, 10 more bills that are coming in addition to the 9 bills that we've already pushed, and we'll see where we're going. We had a meeting with the Speaker of the House, Melissa Hortman, and she asked us specifically to get her more legislation around this area. So in that sense, we're hopeful, but we also have to understand that, this is a very political town, and sometimes that this is how politicians play Minnesota nice, with meaningful, substantive legislation to give the appearance that they're trying to do something. But we need action, we need follow through, and we need results, and that's going to be the true measure of us getting to where we need to be and stopping these abuses and holding police officers accountable, and removing and ensuring that these the police departments in our government is fully transparent, and that justice can be provided to the families who are affected by this evil.
Thank you very much.
All right. Yep.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Yep.
I'm ready. I'm a target. They all know my face. So it's like, that's why you ain't going to see me out there at 11.
So what brought you out here right now? We got the Operation Safety Net headquarters right here. What is your interpretation of Operation Safety Net?
I think Michelle and them said it well. I mean, there's nothing safe about it for us. There's a net involved, but it sure ain't safe. I think Michelle said it well when she said this feels like a dry run for the response to the Chauvin verdict. It doesn't feel good, man. Everywhere you go, downtown, I went to the store in the neighborhood. The cops were, the National Guard were in the parking lot, and so this tells us, the cops killed one of us, right? And so their response is to be even more repressive. Think about this, right? While they're trying to tell us, because Operation Safety Net was about, we organizing this so you can be safe, right? So we give you a safe space to protest, right? And then folks are out there protesting, and what do? They vamp down on them, begin to arrest folks, jail them. I don't remember them. Nico, I don't know if you remember this. I don't remember them charging people with felony riot.
No,
right? It used to be obstruction of justice, disorderly conduct, right? That's pretty much it, or breaking curfew. So I think what they're doing is they're trying to discourage people from protesting. They're absolutely trying to discourage folks. And in doing that, the governor has become lawless, right? They issued a ruling saying, hey, man, you all have to back off. But I don't want them to back off not just the journalists, but the protesters as well. But they're showing their hand. I'm impressed, though, with the protests. I'm old school. I've been out here for a minute, but I'm really impressed with the work of all the activists, and especially the families. I was there earlier when a few families were able to speak today downtown, which is pretty cool. They raised some demands, too. You heard I'm sure they told you the demands here, right? That they wanted the Operation Safety Net to end. We want them to send the National Guard home, and we want to raise those charges. So we were down there demanding that they raise those charges to second-degree murder, right? And so we're demanding that they charge her with murder and send her to jail like they would any one of us. And so also at the press conference and at the meeting earlier, this is an important thing because, this is going to pass. This time will pass, but we'll still be fighting. Families like Tashira and Amity and the rest of the folks are going to still be pressing, and we'll still be pressing, brother, for them to reopen the cases, right? That's going to be a fight. We're going to keep that fight up to have the cases reopened. And, our demand is that we, in the system of policing as we know it, the reforms don't work as we're seeing. I mean, we'll take whatever reforms, but the legislature ain't even trying to pass no reforms, man. All right? So pretty much they're kind of, they're kind of telling us what we're going to do. And what we got to do is keep coming, keep protesting, keep using every means at our disposal to keep pushing back against them. And that's all we can do, man. You know me. I'm down for us fighting until we can't fight no more, So anyway, if you got any questions, I'm just rolling on. You got any questions?
Totally. Thank you so much. You brought up the Chauvin trial. You've been covering it a lot. Just to pivot to that real quick, what is your interpretations of what next week will bring?
Everybody keeps asking me, and the question, brother, the real question is, what are they going to do? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't know. I can't answer it. I don't know what it's going to bring. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm like every other black person, like that Saturday Night Live skit. You know what I'm saying? We ain't so sure, right? We hope for the best, right? But we fear the worst. And we need to ask them, what are y'all going to do to make sure we don't have any more Daunte Wrights. You know what I'm saying? To make sure we don't have any more George Floyds, right? I mean, you know, if you can't tell us what you're going to do, if you can't hold the police accountable, what are they saying to us, Brother Nico? You know what I'm saying? We can't continue with business as usual, right? They seem pretty comfortable with it. So I don't know how it's going to go down, brother. I know we're going to have protests one way or the other. Hopefully it'll be a celebratory protest, right? We're going to organize a response. You know what I'm saying? If it's only second degree, it'll be a really protest. If they don't come back with anything, well, you can kind of guess how that's going to go, right? We'll be out here protesting, brother, until we can't protest no more. Ooh, that light, man.
Yeah,
It's something else. It even messes with my concentration. That's okay. So
thank you for taking this time. Last thing, maybe, and I'll let you go because the light is really bright. So Operation Safety Net, I think 2 days ago when folks came out here, they were questioning who's this safety for, right?
Right.
You sort of brought up, and we know Kim Potter, we heard earlier she got out in 5 hours, right? You even said, right?
Yes.
While people are facing riot charges, still locked up. The community has been brutalized while trying to grieve in Brooklyn Center. Who's this safety for?
As I said, brother, it ain't for us. But they've told this story. Remember, they kept giving us this propaganda that we want to allow you all to have the space to protest, right? But then they put up all the fences and the barriers and the barbed wire, right? It ain't looking like a very safe. You've been down there. Doesn't look like a very comfortable place for us to protest in, right? So they've come up with this propaganda now that we're going to protect you from the outsiders. They're the outsiders, right? We need protection from them. And I'm gonna tell you something, man. It takes nerve, though, when you think about these people. This is why I am an advocate of changing this system, brother. I mean, how is it they gonna kill one of us and still be brutal, right? They killed one of us, and then they turn around and perpetuate. I was out there. They're perpetuating violence against us, right? I mean, and then trying to flip the script and make it look like we're violent, right? And this is why we got to keep organizing, and we got to, you know, at some point, man, we got to face our reality that this system is just not workable for us. They're gonna keep doing this. Since we've been out, since the trial started, I just saw an article the other day, since the Chauvin trial started, 32 people have been killed. The number may be high, but I saw it in the New York Times or the Washington Post. Look it up, brother. A lot of people have been killed since the Chauvin trial started. I think the number was 32. Yes, they've been killed by the police. And this is the Washington Post. It was either the Post or the Times. Look it up. So, I mean, what is that, man? What kind of system is that? So, you know, we can't keep fooling around playing. We got to end this system, man. We got to end this system. We can't be talking about, you know, defunding. If they take the money away from the cops, I'm okay with that. But ultimately, we have got to find a way to hold them accountable. And the best way to hold them accountable is by ending this thing and throwing it out and starting all over again.
Thank you for that. Anything else you'd want to say?
No, I'm good, brother. I've talked out for the.
Thank you.
There's probably other things I've thought to say, but you know, I just wanted to. Want to give a shout out again to all the folks who've been doing good work. You know, a lot of folks. You know, people. You know, what's interesting about our place is that, Minneapolis, we know how to organize. We know how to fight here, right? We got folks that have been fighting for a long time, right? As you know, right? We've got, Jamar Clark's family after Jamar, Philando Castile's family, right? We got the families fighting. Families supporting, you know what I'm saying, families supporting families against police violence. Yeah. So we've been fighting, right? You got, Nakeem and myself, we've been out here fighting. You got brothers and sisters, young folks, we be out here fighting. You know what I'm saying? So we don't need, how the folks come in and act like we don't know what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? We know how to organize here, don't we, brother? We know how to fight here. So I want people to be clear about that. You come in and support us, but we know how to organize. We know how to lift them. The first thing we demand when they kill one of us is what? What do we demand? That they prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law, right? That's what we demand. You notice we didn't even lay down when they gave her the second-degree manslaughter. What did we do? We took to the streets and we demanded what? They just charged her with murder. So we know how to do this, and we know how to raise demands, and we raise demands, and we push them as far as we possibly can. You know what I'm saying? And this is the center of where the cry for reopening the cases came from. So I'm responding now. Some folks come in and look at us like we don't know what we're doing. You know what I'm saying? But we know what we're doing. We need people to just come in and join us and keep fighting with us and keep raising the demands. Get these National Guard up out of here in the Operation Safety Net, because it ain't very safe for us. It's Operation Intimidation, right? They're all everywhere, right? That's what it is. You go downtown, there's National Guard on every corner. That's crazy. And my neighborhood got National Guard at the store and whatever, and then you feel bad. I feel a little bad for some of the National Guard because, you see them and they're just smiling. It's like, man, this ain't fun and games, dude. You got an M4 on you, man. You know what I'm saying? Have you noticed that? They're like, they're under the mistaken impression that some people that they've been invited in or something. It's weird. Like people are glad to see them. It's like, no, man, we're not glad to see you. You need to go home. You need to analyze what you're doing. You got the gun. These are the governor said they were our neighbors. Well, if you're our neighbor, you ought to really rethink why you're here. Shouldn't be here trying to reinforce something negative, reinforce repression, right? They murdered. Somebody got murdered here, man. You're not coming out because the community just went wild and doing all. No, you're here to kind of reinforce, protect them for what they've already done. They should lay their weapons down and go home is what they should do. Because if they're neighbors, like they said, they're from here, if they're home, what are you going to do? Shoot your uncle? Your cousin, your brother, your neighbor? That's what it comes down to at some point, So anyway, I'm going to let y'all go.
Thank you much.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you much. That's Mel from, check out his work as spokesman recorder, Mel Reeves.
That was when we ran away.
Yeah, he ran him away.
They had to go running off in their little building. Because you know what? This is outrageous to me. They don't need to be out here. Some of us live in North Minneapolis, myself included. I don't want these bitches in my neighborhood. I don't want them here. They need to get the hell up out of here. They need to go back to their lily white suburb, wherever the hell. Thank you, darling.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. We need to, they need to get out of here. They have no business and no reason to be here. I'm happy as hell for us to run them out of here because they have no business being here. And how dare they? They're all scared. They were pointing their guns toward us and ooh, and had their red lights on and all this stuff. It's like we are sitting here talking, using our voices, and you gonna come over here like you gonna point a gun at us? Oh hell no. Hell to the no. So we made it a point to run their little butts away from here, and I could not be happier, right?
Yep, got
Come
them
on,
out
man.
of here.
Come on,
A
get up
little
here.
word, a little power from everybody, and we got them out of here. They all running, they're hiding, but they want to talk and they want to stay on the news about what we doing and throwing, but they can't sit here and stand and listen to these words that's coming from us.
They can't take it.
They scared of the words.
know,
We don't got stuff. We got flags. We got signs.
None
What
of us
else?
are armed except for our,
Voices.
none of us are armed except for our voices, and they're scared to death of our voices.
That's right.
They are scared to death.
The power of the voice, though. That's the power of the voice.
Agreed.
The power of the voice.
They are scared to death of us.
The power of the voice.
We're getting here, joined by Nikema now. Can you bring us up to speed with what happened earlier today? There was a protest out in Stillwater. You can hold the mic if you're comfortable with that.
Oh, sure. Yes, hundreds of us went to Stillwater, Minnesota, to the home of Pete Orpett, who is the Washington County Attorney. And a lot of folks have asked, well, why is the Washington County Attorney involved in the case surrounding Daunte Wright and the killer cop who took his life? Well, the reason has to do with Mike Freeman, who is the Hennepin County Attorney, being a punk ass, being afraid of people, not wanting to accept responsibility, and protecting killer cops. We've gone to his home multiple times. We've called him out. We've asked him to resign. Rather than him stepping down, he moved to a new location, and then he passed the buck to the Washington County Attorney to make charging decisions in this case. Now, the Washington County Attorney, Pete Orpett, has a history of working with the police, not only as a prosecutor, but being an attorney on behalf of the Minnesota Peace Officers Association. And through that situation, we know that he has a huge conflict of interest. We know that he doesn't know the first thing about racial justice. He has undercharged the case of Kim Potter by only charging her with second-degree manslaughter when there should be murder charges in this case. So we brought the battle to his house. And what was interesting about that experience was, number one, hundreds of people traveled from the Twin Cities to Stillwater, which he was not expecting. The other thing that happened was, as we marched down the street, Pete Orpett's neighbors put up the fist in solidarity with protesters. Some of them got out there in the streets with us. Some of them were singing chants and declaring that Black Lives Matter. And they also agreed that they would hold Pete Orpett accountable after we left. Now, in the midst of all of that, Pete Orpett came out of his house during a period of time in which we went on a march from in front of his house. We were around the corner, but one of our allies, comrades, fellow organizers, Jaylani Hussein of CARE Minnesota, stayed behind for a phone call. He happened to see Pete Orpit come out of his house and began apologizing to his neighbors. And so Jaylani was thinking, well, why isn't he apologizing to me as a black man who is being subjected to oppression through the criminal justice system? So Jaylani confronted him and asked him why he wasn't apologizing to him. And they began a dialogue about the undercharging of Kim Potter, a killer cop, in this situation. As they were having a conversation, the rest of us, hundreds of us, showed up again in front of Pete Orpit's house. And then we had a conversation about the situation. So I came over, engaged in conversation with Pete Orpit. He tried to defend himself and say, I've talked to other civil rights attorneys. I've done this, I've done that. I can't find a way to charge beyond manslaughter. And we said, well, how did they find a way to charge Mohammed Noor, a black Muslim Somali officer who became a scapegoat in the state of Minnesota when he accidentally, although wrongfully, shot and killed Justin Rusacek Damon, an affluent white woman?